Talk more to that movement piece, using that as a tool to complement everything we've been talking about today and beyond.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why I always say it's a complex topic, right? So when you cut it down and simplify it to just calories, then you've only got one lever. You've actually got multiple levers, including exercise. I mean, it's a relatively inefficient way to get to lose weight, but it can certainly work. And then, the interesting part to me, so you can adjust all of those things we talked about, right? Whether it's resistant starch or, moving your meals earlier or food time, the order of your meals, right? The carbs first or carbs last, all those different sort of levers. And even that doesn't capture the whole complexity of the story because that's only one third of the story because that's all talking about homeostatic hunger. But now you've got this whole other thing, hedonic hunger and conditioned hunger, or the sort of food noise. So this whole hedonic hunger, which can completely override the homeostatic signals. Because if you are eating because of emotional reasons, well, it doesn't matter if you're full or not, right? So you could be eating the best foods and you're completely satiated and full from a homeostatic mechanism, but you're actually like anxious or depressed or, addicted. And then you wind up overriding that the homeostatic hunger is sated, but it's completely overridden by this hedonic hunger. And that's where the ultra processed foods is one of the most important topics there because ultra processed foods are designed to be maximally pleasurable, right? They don't leave it to chance. I mean, we've all read those books about, salt and sugar and fat and bliss points and all this sort of stuff. They're engineered to give you maximum pleasure. Part of it is because they're engineered to be absorbed very quickly. You need that big spike in the glucose because that's what gives you maximum pleasure. It's just like anything. If you're smoking, you inhale it, right? You smoke it till it gets into your lungs, which goes into your blood vessels. If you eat tobacco, like tobacco gum, it's way less pleasurable. That's why you use nicotine gum to wean yourself off of smoking. Or if you're taking cocaine, you sniff it so it goes into the blood vessels of the nose. You don't eat cocaine, right? Marijuana, you smoke. Heroin, you inject, right? All of these things because it goes directly in. It's the speed of absorption that's critical for these ultra processed foods. So when they take this food, they break it down, they pre-digest it so that when you eat it, it basically melts in your mouth and goes instantly into your bloodstream as fast as possible. And that's going to give you the maximum pleasure. And that's where the ultra processed foods are highly, highly dangerous. And sometimes they flip right into addiction where people can't actually stop. And it's always interesting to me because if you look at these shows, like, those 1,000-pound person shows, right? The people are clearly addicted. Like it's obvious, right? They're eating all this food and they know it's killing them, but they can't stop eating it. That's practically the definition of addiction. The problem is addiction. And people say, well, you can't eat zero food. I'm like, no, that's not the point. If you are addicted, you have to see what you're addicted to. So when you think about what people are addicted to, they say, I'm addicted to bread. I'm addicted to sweets. I'm addicted to chocolate. I'm addicted to pizza. What do they have in common? Well, they're all ultra processed foods because you get that massive quick spike in glucose and insulin. Does anybody ever say, I'm addicted to eggplant? It's like, I don't think I've ever heard that in my whole life. I'm addicted to eggs. I'm like, I don't think so. I love eggs. I love eggplant. I'm not addicted to either one. It's not like I'm going to keep eating eggplant even though I know it's killing me, right? It just doesn't happen. I'm addicted to salmon. Who's addicted to salmon? I love salmon. Doesn't mean I'm addicted to it in any way, but I could easily be addicted to things like, potato chips and cheese puffs and all of that. Very, very easy. Sugary cereals, very easy, right? And you see what these people are eating and see, they don't see that they're eating wrong because they're like, but the carbs are fine and it's this and that. And it's on the label. It says it's, good for you. It's like, no, it's an ultra processed foods and you're addicted to it. So you don't need to stop all foods. You need to stop those foods that you're addicted to. So the point is, like, if you're addicted to alcohol, it doesn't mean you don't drink green tea. So if you're addicted to sort of ultra-processed carbohydrates, why do you need to stop eating beef? You don't. You can eat beef. And I think that sometimes some of these people who got very, very heavy, when they started to eat either low carb or carnivore or whatever, they really started to, because it was the ultra processed carbohydrates that they actually were addicted to. When they cut it out, treating it with sort of abstinence, that's when they got a lot better. Not necessarily because of the homeostatic hunger, but because of the hedonic hunger, the food addiction. And the thing about addiction is that it's very clear. You need abstinence, right? So this is where, logic sort of breaks down. Say you're addicted to alcohol. Would you ever say to that alcoholic, "Oh, everything in moderation. Just have a half a drink." Like, you'd be like the worst AA sponsor ever, right? You'd be like, "Get out of here. You're useless." So if you have somebody who's addicted to ultra processed foods and ultra processed carbohydrates, why do you say, "Hey, it's only a few calories, take a few, moderation"? It's like, no, because if you are addicted, you will take a few and you will not be able to stop. That's an addiction. If somebody's addicted to smoking, do you say, "Hey, just have a few, everything in moderation, it's fine"? No, that'd be the worst advice ever. Yet when it comes to food addictions, we think, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Everything in moderation." It's like, what are you talking about? If the problem is addiction, treat it like an addiction. You can't treat it like some other problem, right? That's what I mean. You have to get to the heart of the matter. Like, why are you eating what you're eating, right? Is it hedonic hunger? Is it conditioned hunger? Is it that food noise? Is it the homeostatic hunger? Only then can you actually identify your problem and then design a treatment plan that gets you to where you need to go.
Since you made it to the end of this clip, I know you're going to love the full episode. Click here to watch. I'll see you over there.
Different foods stimulate different levels of insulin. What's insulin's job? Well, to tell you to store more body fat. If it's chronically high, you're going to gain a lot of weight because you're moving a lot of glucose into the cells. They're going to fill up so that glucose